Hear him or smell him? But he doesn't bark at people or noises.
Maybe you hear that, but you should.
Yeah. Anyways, so if you guys have pens over here, so we put some there. Yeah. Yeah. And he's always along to their mouth.
Hi there, Stephanie.
Sorry, sir. Taking a picture of hugging. So be it.
Maria's rich life. Hello, and welcome, beautiful family and friends, to this celebration of the life of our much-loved Maria Jean Mander, who left this earth peacefully at home on August 4th, but still remains so alive in our hearts. My name is Margie, and I have had the honor of knowing Maria as a friend since my son Mateo and Ezra became lifelong friends in elementary school. Many of you have known her much longer, perhaps her entire life. This amazing, huge crowd gathered today in honor of Maria is no surprise to me. Maria cast a wide net of love and friendship. What I know about Maria is that she did not really want to leave her beautiful family and all of us. She fought so hard for so long to stay on this earth. She tried everything. She exercised, she meditated, she chanted, she had her mind and heart in multiple spiritual communities, so open to comfort and healing from every possible source. She researched answers. She traveled to Poland in search of a cure. She worked with physical therapists and insisted on standing and walking long after many of us saw her body losing the strength to do so. She refused to give in. She consulted with doctors and specialists of every sort in search of a cure. She tried herbs, acupuncture, modern medicine, ancient medicine, and just about anything that might have helped her. She ate more fruits and vegetables in a day than I can imagine eating in a month in an effort to strengthen her body. But before the time of the super puree magic bullet blender, I'll never forget following her instructions to me to add a whole head of kale, spinach, berries, coconut, nuts, seeds, cocoa powder, and all sorts of supplements to her blender for a big, very chunky, unsweetened shake. Surprisingly, Maria had somehow convinced her then much younger boys that these shakes were yummy. Personally, I just wanted to add a big scoop of ice cream and leave out the kale chunks. But Maria wouldn't have it. Maria did all of these things and more because she wanted to live. to be here with her family and with all of us. And she approached the end of her life with the same strength, courage, and determination that she mustered for fighting MS. She was not afraid to die, and I've heard more than a few people hope for even a tenth of Maria's strength and courage in facing life's challenges. Maria once told me she strongly believed that she would return to be with her boys, Kai, and all of us someday. Though of course she did not know exactly how. She thought it might be nice to come back as a bird. And I remember a time when I would sit with her in her bedroom and how much she loved to watch the birds and squirrels feeding from a bird feeder right outside her bedroom window. Sometimes I'd see the birds and squirrels sit on the fence right at the window ledge, just making long eye contact with Maria, as if they already had an understanding of something much greater than all of us. I will think of Maria when I see a hummingbird flying freely through my garden, and I believe that her spirit is now flying free among us. And we are for sure sad today, and we will cry today and other days as we miss Maria in our lives. But what I know about Maria is that she would not want us to spend too much time with the tears, but to instead celebrate and remember the beauty of her life, her laughter, her determination, her lasting friendships, her strength, her clarity and honesty, and her firm sense of justice. What I know about Maria is that she loved deeply, all of us, but particularly her soulmate Kai, and her precious boys, Ezra and Eli. You three gave so much joy and meaning to her life every day. You are the reason she stayed with us as long as she possibly could. And she told me on more than one occasion that the hardest thing about the thought of leaving was leaving the three of you. But I and many others have promised Maria that we will be here to hold, love, and support the three of you in all the years to come. And now I'd like to ask Eli and Ezra to bring forward and light the yahrzeit candle. In the Jewish tradition, the yahrzeit candle is lit during a time of initial mourning, and again at the year anniversaries of a loss. This candle is often believed to be a symbol of the soul. It will burn for the next 24 hours in honor of Maria. The yahrzeit candle reminds all of us of the fragility of life and encourages us to embrace life and our loved ones. And now I'm going to ring Maria's own meditation bell. Please join me in a time of silence, and let's bring Maria's presence to this room and to this celebration of her good life by calling to mind your favorite image of Maria, a favorite memory of your time with Maria, or just her beautiful, warm smile. Maria, we will remember you and hold these images of you in our hearts and minds forever. In recent years, Maria was blessed to have a number of wonderful, kind, and dedicated caregivers. One of Maria's recent caregivers, Melly Kappa, will share a song with us next. Melly was known to sing or hum throughout her day of helping Maria. Maria loved this so much. So thank you, Melly, for sharing your gift again with her and with us.
Must have been cold there in my shadow, to have never sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walk a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long. A beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle, 'cause you are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I got it whole here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. Of course I know it. I'll be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. Did you ever know that you're my hero? In everything I could like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. I thank God for you are the wind beneath my wings. Love you, Maria.
I promised Kai I was going to keep it together today. Thank you, Millie, and thank you, David, for the beautiful piano music. Thinking about this service, Kai told a group of us that he hoped for it to be, among other things, a time for sharing memories of Maria's good life. The next several speakers will be doing just that. But you'll notice in your program that there is also a page for you to share your own stories and favorite memories of Maria. Looks like this. We hope that you will take some time today or in the days ahead to get some of these precious memories down on paper for Kai, Ezra, and Eli to have and to cherish in the years ahead.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes? In the back, can you hear me? What a beautiful day to celebrate beautiful Maria. My name is Leanne Yasumoto, and I've known Maria for a few years, been friends with her ever since Kai and I reconnected. Kai and I grew up together since the 4th grade in San Francisco. I'm honored to read some of Maria's personal background. Maria Jean Hubbard was born on November 16, 1971 in Hastings, Minnesota, to Lawrence and Mary Jane Hubbard. Being the third of 5 children, Maria was a true middle child, but with 2 sisters 7 and 9 years older, and her brother and sisters 7 and 8 years younger, Maria didn't have any siblings to play or fight with. She often called herself the only middle child. Maria grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. She moved to St. Paul, Minnesota for college and earned a BA in theology and history from St. Catherine's University. When she was a senior in college, Maria met Kai in Minneapolis while working as a receptionist in the same building in which Kai worked. In talking with him one day, Maria told Kai that she had just returned from Israel. Since Kai had just been in West Africa, he sensed an opportunity and suggested that they could share their photos with each other over drinks. When the time came, though, Kai showed up for the date, but forgot all about bringing the photos. However, Maria brought hers, and they spent that first date looking at her photos. After Maria graduated from college, the couple headed west to California because Maria wanted to escape the cold. They lived in Bolinas for a few months, where Maria worked at a famous bakery and quickly knew all the important characters in town. After a couple of months, Maria and Kai left for South Korea to teach English for a year. Although Maria taught a range of ages, from kindergarten to adult auto executives, she much preferred teaching the kids. She often challenged some of the all-male executives on their narrow views of women. After the year was up, Maria and Kai spent months traveling throughout Asia. Upon moving to Berkeley in 1996, Maria worked as an activities director at a nursing home in Oakland, which she often said was the favorite job she ever had. She loved working with the elderly, eliciting smiles during music, yoga, and other activities. Maria later received her teaching credential from the New College of California and a master's in library and information sciences from San Jose University. She taught 4th grade in the Oakland School District and worked as a librarian in the Berkeley School District. After 6 years of being together, Maria and Kai got married in 2000 and shared 16 years of marriage. Maria was a wonderful and proud mother of 2 sons, Ezra, who is 15, and Eli, who is 13. She felt blessed to have the 2 boys prior to her diagnosis with multiple sclerosis, because she would not have had children if she knew she had the disease. Maria loved her boys, and she enjoyed attending their concerts and watching their basketball and baseball games. You could hear the pride in her voice whenever she spoke of her sons and what great young men they had become. She was grateful for being able to participate in both of their bar mitzvahs. And she was also grateful for all the help her boys gave her over the years since she was diagnosed with MS in 2005. Maria battled MS with all of her might and determination, but finally succumbed. She donated her brain to research in hopes that in some way it would help lead to a cure. Maria's life was too short, but she made the most of it, having traveled to many, many countries in 4 continents and living life to the fullest. Her strong will, strong opinions, and deep compassion for others have had an effect on this world and will be remembered and cherished by all of us.
I am one of Maria's older sisters, Teresa. I believe I have the oldest memory of anyone here of Maria. My first memory was actually why she was intrauterine. A few weeks before Maria's birth, our mother was preparing me for that soon, one day after school. She might not be home, but instead at the hospital, getting our new baby. This apparently upset me to the point that I vomited every day for a week, just so I could be sent home before the bus, in hopes of finding my mother still at home. Our relationship got much better after that. Maria's hometown was Prescott, Wisconsin, which is on the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. Prescott is directly on the Mississippi and St. Croix rivers, 30 minutes south of St. Paul, Minnesota. The population during her childhood was approximately 2,500. She grew up on a dairy farm 10 miles outside of Prescott, with plenty of room to roam the fields, pick dandelions, have picnics, ride her bike, chase butterflies, and just be a country kid. After a few months of age, Maria's crib was moved into Gail and my room. We loved playing with her through the wooden slats of her crib. Her cooing, beautiful brown eyes, and smile delighted us. Each morning when she would stir, we jumped up, pulled her out of her crib to get the day going. This sometimes annoyed our mother, as stirring babies are not necessarily awake for the day, nor should they be. To this I respond, well, who puts a baby in the same room as our older sisters in a 14-room farmhouse? Every Sunday morning after milking the cows and chores, we would all go to church. Our respectable parents sat us in the back pew. Soon Maria's cute little hand found the water fount and began splashing. This caused Gail and I to giggle uncontrollably, which prompted our father to take us out of church for the disruption. Again, I questioned, why was I being punished and not the holy water splasher? As a child, Maria adored her father, always wanting to be at his side. At ages 3 and 4, each morning upon waking, she would slip on her little white fur-collared boots, still in her onesie footy pajamas, and walk out to the barn to be with her dad. No coat in the winter, and the same boots in the heat of the summer. She loved her blanket. On wash day, we'd find her standing underneath the clothesline, sucking her thumb, twisting the yarn on her blanket, patiently waiting for it to dry. Gail and I played house with Maria. She was our real baby. Then 7 years later, our brother Michael and sister Mary came along. Maria then had her own real-life babies to play house with. This, of course, prepared her for motherhood. Maria attended a private Catholic elementary school. This created many deep, long, lifelong friendships. The entire class of girls were invited to every birthday and every sleepover party, which meant 7 to 10 screaming girls. Maria learned how to swim in the river. The country kids were bused to the beach early in the morning when the air temperature was cool, the dew still on the ground, and the sun not yet very hot. She hated this. The city kids were allowed the second section of swimming lessons of the day, which was considerably warmer. I guess country kids are just tougher or less wimpy than the city kids. She then moved to the public middle and high schools, which offered more friendships and opportunities to grow and explore. The class size now approximately 75 to 90. Maria was always willing to try new adventures, 4-H, drama, music, dance, and enjoyed travel. She made and wore many of her own clothing, uncommon for a high school student. Maria's nephew was diagnosed with cancer at age 2 when Maria was in her second year of college. Family always came first, and she went out of her way to help whenever and wherever she could. This included taking his twin sister, her godchild, so his parents could focus on doctor and hospital visits. Her godchild later in life traveled from Wisconsin to help Maria when she broke her foot when Ezra and Eli were babies. Maria's example of kindness towards others inspired many to pass on the love. I believe she got her travels from her maternal grandparents, whom took her each summer on a road trip. They'd go as far as her age and ability to sit in a car would allow. Maria got her work ethic from her parents, both sets of grandparents, and she was even lucky enough to learn from her great-grandmother. I would like to thank all of you for your love and support of our little and big sister. God bless Gail, Teresa, Michael, and Mary, Kai, Ezra, and Eli. Hello, everybody. I'm very nervous. I'm lucky I didn't trip on my way up here, so bear with me. I only knew Maria as a neighbor at first, but as the years went by, we became close friends, which delighted me. It was actually my dog, a sweet and loving golden retriever named Disa, that really brought us together. I would take Disa for walks around the block and always stop by Maria's to say hello. I had my signature knock. Not very unique, I know. But no matter what her condition, if she heard that knock, she knew it was me. The door was always open, and 99% of the time, Maria was there. In those early days, she would sink her hands into Disa's long, luxurious fur while we talked and talked. We discussed politics, music, neighborhood issues, spirituality, Buddhism, among other things. The Buddha said there are 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. The trick is to find a way to balance them all with grace and dignity. And Maria taught me how. She taught me lessons about living a good life, about being aware of the present moment, about noticing the bird in the tree,
the blueness of the sky and feeling the air on my skin. I'm aware I'm alive, and for that, I'm grateful to Maria. She took great pride in mothering her boys, making her flourless chocolate cake for family birthdays, even when she no longer had use of her hands. Instead, instructing her caregiver to measure just so much of the powdered chocolate and so much of the sugar, taking delight in his actions while he mixed it together. Not too long ago, we were in her bedroom one late afternoon alone. The evening darkness was creeping into the room, and we were discussing, funnily enough, her future memorial service. How did she want it to look? What kind of music would be played? What would be the tone? She said, I definitely want it to be a celebration of my life because I have had a good life. I've traveled all around the world, married a great guy, and raised 2 amazing boys. I asked her about flowers. Hell no, they should not bring flowers. I want them to bring socks. Socks? I asked, wondering where this was going. Yes, socks, she said. Warm socks for the homeless, socks for men, socks for women, and socks for children. I laughed and laughed. Only Maria would think of something like that. She was always practical as well as compassionate. It's a sad thing to not have Maria with us anymore, but I saw her not 30 minutes after her death, and she was beautiful, lying on her side in her own bed. Her previously bent and crooked body was now soft and relaxed. The morning light was shining literally on her brow, and her skin had a luminous glow. Her eyes were slightly open, and the look on her face was of pure rapture. She looked like a statue of herself in her youth. Now when I go to Maria's door, I do my same knock, and either Kai, Ezra, or Eli will answer. And sometimes no one answers, and the door is locked. After the shock of it, I quietly smile to myself, knowing that life is moving along, and Maria would like that. Thank you for sharing.
Hi, my name is Ann House. My husband Al and I have had the Manders as our neighbors for the past 15 years. And it was our privilege to have Maria be a big part of our lives. We always just enjoyed being with Maria. We tried to help her and just enjoyed doing whatever that we could for her. But most of all, we enjoyed chatting with her. And as many of you know, Maria was never shy about expressing her own opinion. There was something magnetic about Maria that just drew us to her. Maria was a beautiful, smart, strong-willed, kind and loving person. We love her, we miss her, and every day we will always miss her. Thank you.
I don't think you're going to be able to see me over this phone.
I'm not on the program. Today I live in British Columbia now. My name is Sarah Simonet. And I know Maria because I met her in college. And I have some really good photos. If you would like to see them afterwards, you should come see me. You probably have never seen photos like this of Maria. It feels really, this is a quote I shared with someone recently about Maria, some words to a friend. I said it feels really uncomfortable somehow and really just plain weird that Maria's physical presence is no longer a part of my life. And I experienced that. From my experience in knowing Maria over the last 26 years, when you engaged with her, both of you were definitely living in that moment in time as much as you possibly could. And that is, when I tried to think of Maria, that was something that resonated. It was, you were here, she was here, you were in that moment together. From what I've seen Maria maintained, and I've heard this through other folks' words, Maria maintained many of the friendships that she built over time. And starting in college, Maria demonstrated to me what was essential to getting the most out of everyday events, and I'll just share a few of those with you. From experiencing our first full-on entire pig roast, an entire pig on a spit, our freshman year out on the campus lawn, that's how they welcomed us, to attempting to wake each other in shifts throughout the night in college to get ready for our finals. We would set our alarms, and throughout the course of the night, we would wake each other up and, are you ready? Because it's time to study for ancient, civilization. From encouraging each other to get off campus, for example, for tasting Ethiopian food for the first time, to taking courses where the subject matter really captivates you. From Maria reaching out when I needed it most, when I really wanted to connect with a friend, to pursuing the arts, like piano lessons or orchestra, because it's something that you or she always really wanted to do. And then later on, from passing as Maria and Kai's child in order to acquire a family pass one day while we were skiing in Tahoe, to exploring and navigating about every inch of Tilden Park. Its picnic areas, its buildings, its farm animals, its beautiful, beautiful trails. I really appreciated that from Maria. And from trying to ensure Kai and the boys were well cared for, loved, that their worries were put to rest, and that humor can be found in almost anything. To allowing ourselves to be scared, to try to heal our bodies and our minds, and to face death in whatever form. Other words to a friend I shared recently. Maria was an amazing force for change. And she had an uncanny ability to know about things that would happen well ahead of when they did. I relied on her for that and for much more throughout her way too brief life. I miss her a lot already, and I imagine I always will. But what would Maria want for us now that she's no longer physically here with us? Good communication, interaction, laughter, sunshine, homegrown and homemade food, all these and more, yes, for sure. But as I know she did while alive, I imagine Maria would wish for us all today to celebrate each and every one of our presences here on this earth. Thank you.
I met Maria in July of 2001. We had both just moved to Albany, and we both just bought our first home. We were backyard neighbors for the next 10 years. We both had bought these big fixers. And we had this rickety fence between our backyards. And we used to stand at the back fence and chat for long periods of time. And Ezra was just 6 weeks old. And she used to pass him over the fence to me. We then eventually put up chairs on either side so we could fly back and forth for extended visits. And when we rebuilt the fence, we put a gate in it so that we could easily go between each other's yards and homes. Maria was extremely handy. If she didn't fix it herself, she organized and supervised everything done to their home. Everything you see in her house she touched. She painted the walls, she fixed up the kitchen, new flooring and light fixtures, she ordered the blinds, had the skylights installed. She organized the entire second-story addition, and she was brave enough to live in the house while it was being built. She designed the back porch, and she really enjoyed gardening. She planted the lemon tree in the backyard and the rosemary in the front. And she arranged for the treehouse to be built for the boys. She was an excellent cook. She introduced me to the Moosewood cookbook and to quinoa. And for birthdays, she always made her beloved mother-in-law's delicious chocolate torte. She was a talented sewer. She made curtains for their home and adorable Halloween costumes for the boys. She was a great knitter. We had a neighborhood knitting group where she felted bags and made hats and scarves. She played the guitar and sang beautifully. You know, she earned a master's degree and taught herself Hebrew. And she was an awesome Trivial Pursuit player. We spent countless afternoons and evenings on super long walks all around Albany and Berkeley. First with Eli in the stroller, and then first with Ezra in the stroller, and then Eli. Our walks usually ended with a big burrito at Cactus or Bacante's. We were fortunate enough to travel to Carmel and Lake Tahoe with Maria and her boys. But just beyond being a good friend, Maria had a huge impact on me as a mother. She was my mentor. She had her children a few years before me and Ben, and she was my go-to on every baby and child subject. She organized my baby shower. She gave me advice about childbirth and joining a mother's group, cloth diapers and breastfeeding. She'd done it before me and she did it so well. She was a wealth of information and always very supportive and honest. She was so wonderful with her boys. So loving and tender and patient and kind, playful. She was such a good mom, just a natural. And she loved her boys so much, and she was so happy. She also called me every year on my birthday. Even this July, when making a phone call took so much effort, she still took the time to call me and wish me happy birthday. I went to visit Maria 2 days before she passed. And I arrived just after she had a massage. And she loved massages. She looked so peaceful and so relaxed with that great afterglow from a massage. And I stayed for an hour. I talked really loudly to her caregiver, hoping that she would wake up so we could talk again. She didn't wake up. I kissed her goodbye, and I thought I would see her again. I really miss Maria, and I know all of you do also.
with Maria. And I see a lot of the others from our mom's group here, and it brings me back to those days when we were young mothers. We kind of grew up together. And those days were filled with walking everywhere. It was Mondays to Mom's group, Tuesdays to the library, and then to Cactus for burritos or guacamole over all of our kids' bodies. Thursdays was the Y. Weekends were somebody's birthday party if it was May or June. Then as the kids aged and Maria started teaching Hebrew school, Ezra would be dropped at my house once a week. It was just that Maria was dependable, and I depended on her, and she depended on me. We were in Bolinas once. My car battery died. There were 5 kids with us. We spent an hour driving around Bolinas to get the battery charged, so it wouldn't die on us again. The kids were all less than 6. Maria was there when I needed her. I remember having a bad day. I have a theory that things start off badly and another thing happens. There's definitely going to be a third. And I said to Maria, she took my son somewhere, and I was like, I'm staying home. I'm not going anywhere. No more bad things can happen if I just stay home. Maria arrived back with Jack, who had thrown up in her car. That's a good friend. She was there when I was freaking out about moving. I had just gone down to Palo Alto for the first time, and we'd come back, and I was a wreck. I was in tears, and she just laughed at me. She knew that it was the right thing for us to do, and she was just there regardless, lightening the situation. She was there whenever I called or came over. And despite her own suffering, for me, she just remained a really good friend. Someone to talk with, someone to process issues with about our kids, our husbands, marriages, schools. She was just a shoulder to cry on. I remember when she was in hospice originally, and she was really at peace with dying, and I was not there yet. And she said, just think of me, I'll be in the birds and the butterflies, like Margie had said. I'll be in the animals. And now I know I'm at peace, but that's where she is. And I feel like I can look out the window and I can see a bird or a butterfly, and I can remember her and remember her friendship. And when I'm missing her, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look out the window and see that bird.
Mention, if it wasn't already mentioned, that Maria's family put on a huge memorial near Prescott, Wisconsin, last month, with hundreds of people there, all paying their respects to Maria, and high school friends, hundreds and hundreds of people, and it was very touching. In addition, the Buddhist chanting group that she was in put on a memorial that was beautiful and wonderful in El Cerrito, and the boys and I attended those. And of course this one, it just means so much to us to have this process. I didn't know. I wound up just writing a list of things I loved about Maria. So this is my list of things I love about Maria, in no particular order, many of which have been mentioned by other people, some of which have not. I love that she didn't find silence awkward. It was only several months into our relationship when we left Minneapolis to drive west to California, not knowing exactly what we were going to do after that. On the first day of a long day driving, I had to get used to her long stretches of silence. She just didn't need to fill the space with small talk. It wound up being one of the characteristics I loved most about her. It was something that evolved for her, since evidently she was quite a chatterbox throughout high school. I also grew to love that she had very little interest in celebrity culture and was terrible at knowing the names of famous people. I do think within weeks of dating that we had the worst argument we've ever had since. And that argument started because I was too incredulous that she could not name all 4 Beatles. Because I know you're wondering, yes, it was George. And she forgot. But I eventually learned that she was quite adept at remembering people she actually knew. In her community, their faces, their names, their stories, their children. Far better than I did or do, and definitely far better than famous people for her. She also did have an incredible knowledge of a lesser-known type of celebrity that the boys and I discovered a couple years ago on a drive. We realized she could recite the complete schedules of both local NPR stations. She even knew at what time the breaks for news occurred. Even though this was largely due to her being confined to the house the last couple years, she laughed about it as the boys and I quizzed her for the remainder of the ride. Some days she was like my own public radio critic. At the end of the day, telling me which things I should try to listen to on the rebroadcast or find on the web. And if it was the rebroadcast, she'd tell me when I might be able to listen to it. I love that she made friends. She made friends with colleagues, students, doctors, nurses, delivery people, my friends, neighbors, and she was a loyal and generous friend in so many ways. Many are still walking around in the socks she knitted for them or pulling the roast out of the oven with the pot holders she made. Some kids in this room slept under blankets she made them. I love that she was handy like a farmer handy. That's been mentioned before, but she would go around fixing things as they need fixing. She was also firmly in charge of all things camping and outdoors related. Even working at REI, earning some street cred there for a couple months. She planned a 3-week trip to Alaska, which was almost all camping, including backcountry camping. And when we added a Florida house, she was in charge of looking over plans and understanding what the architect and builders were saying. She thought it was hilarious how bad I was at all these things. When she couldn't physically fix things herself, she would try to direct me to do it. It didn't usually work out very well. And we'd have to call one of several people in this room to help us out. And if they weren't yet friends, they soon became friends. I love that she found a place for her. Her 4 siblings all live within 10 miles of the family farm on which she grew up, which is a nice place. But Maria wanted to explore the world. She wound up moving 2,000 miles away to the Bay Area, and when she got here, that felt like home to her, and it was the rest of her life. I love that she traveled a lot, even though she was a very nervous flyer. We did some pretty adventurous travel, whether by plane, train, bus, or boat. She was very prone to sea and car sickness, but traveled anyway. And she was very scared of flying, but did that anyway too. She didn't drink much in general, but sometimes to calm her nerves, she was that person sipping a flask before an 8 a.m. flight. I love the way she seized every day. In her healthy years, she was always doing something fun or purposeful. She was out there living life to the fullest. All that she experienced in life, I think, helped her get through the years that she couldn't do as many anymore. But even as the illness progressed, she still had things to accomplish. For the boys and me, for herself, for the house, for the community, and for the world. And she did them, one way or another. She always was pursuing something interesting, doing something worthwhile, and continuing to learn. And when she couldn't read books on her own anymore, she switched to audiobooks, hosted a book club, and continued her pursuit of learning. She was very well organized and neat, but not a neat freak. I don't know how, but even with her lack of being able to put things away and retrieve them for years, she still knew where most things were stored somehow in our house. The files, cabinets, and order of the house is still reaping the benefits of her having set things up years ago. We were a good team in a lot of ways. One way that I've found out I'm really missing as I try to sort through administrative things is that my nice guy approach to resolving a problem with some customer service department wasn't panning out. We both knew when it was time for my good cop to hand the phone over to her very effective cop. She really cared about our planet, hating to waste anything. She donated money to worthy organizations. She donated her time to worthy organizations. She put little buckets in the shower to catch and reuse water, and some of you have drawn her wrath when you let the sink faucet run too long. When she wanted our little brick patio pulled up, she's painstakingly found people on Craigslist to give them to, rather than waste the bricks. She spoke the truth, even in times that maybe a little fibbing would have been appropriate. She didn't let too many things slide by. I think I'll skip the examples in that area. She really had a beautiful voice. I loved her beautiful singing voice. She was learning guitar for a few years. She also played some piano. When she sang at the piano and sang with her guitar, the boys and I just loved it and took it all in. Just a beautiful time in our lives. And those moments we'll always remember. I loved that she was not self-conscious about anything. And with this disease, most people are and have reason to be. But she was comfortable within her own skin. It was what it was. I loved, as others have mentioned, that she was always in the moment. Never went the route of constant use of devices, social media, texting, like many of the rest of us. It was an incredible gift to have her just there, grounded, in the moment, every day, all day. Little things like, I love that she went from being someone who very rarely swore to someone who just felt like it was the best way of expressing herself the last few years. Regardless of what young children might be around. She loved our house. She didn't want to move out of our house in Albany, even when she couldn't access most of the rooms. She built the second floor, or supervised the building on the second floor of that house, all of our wonderful neighbors and community, and our house. It was our house, and she wasn't going to move out of it with us or anyone else. I love that she was not at all materialistic or pretentious. I loved all the effort she made to fight this disease. As mentioned, she tried Western medicine, she tried Eastern medicine, she tried not yet approved medicine, she tried never going to be approved medicine, and she tried fake medicine. She became gluten-free and consumed a steady diet, supplements, oils, broths, and other special concoctions. She tried various physical therapies, and even after having been a vegetarian, strict vegetarian since a young age, she began eating meat and fish in her 30s in hopes that it would help, based on some reading she had done. Her disease was relentless, but her sheer determination to live got us all an extra 3 years of her. After she almost passed away in 2013. And yeah, she wasn't afraid to die. I love that she wanted to donate her brain in hopes of finding a cure to MS. This involved extra blood draws from her while she was weak and stuck in bed, in poor condition, but she still wanted to participate for the hopes of aiding the greater good. I relied on her incredible partnership and advice about parenting and everything really, all the way up to the day she died. So many times I would not know how to proceed in certain situations, and I'd ask her what she thought, and she'd immediately have an answer that I agreed with 99% of the time. And it wasn't that I just deferred to her answer, it's that I actually agreed with it. It was just that when she said her suggestion, it seemed suddenly so obviously the right answer. I love that she was both realistic and optimistic about her condition at the same time. When her legs became unreliable, she got hand controls of the car rather than risk driving unsafely. When she felt she couldn't drive safely anymore, she stopped driving. and that was that. And I love too that she always knew in her heart that she was going to get better, even telling everyone years before her 40th birthday that her birthday party would be, for her 40th birthday, would be on the right hand, hiking up the top. Even though that didn't happen, that was her goal, that she lived as if it was going to happen. We agreed on all the important things, and we're extremely compatible with each other. I loved how much she always supported me in any difficulty or challenge I had in any aspect of my life, and always supported her boys to the same degree. I loved that she laughed every day. She was a really happy person with a quick laugh that was deep, hearty, wonderful. She could decline, the boys and I cherished every laugh, every smile, just knowing for at least that moment she was happy. And we had many of those happy moments every day in the depths of her illness. At the end of most days, she and I would lie in bed, exhausted, and just talk while holding hands. I think when we lay there together, she no longer felt afflicted with this horrible disease. We're both just lying there, just as we have in the past 22 years, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, sometimes just laying there in silence, uncomfortably. Comfortably. It's a big difference. I love those 22 years with Maria, all the things we did together and just being together. Every day, all the way up to the last one. I love being with her, just being with her in her presence. I just loved every moment with her for the past 22 years. I just wanted to say something to Ezra and Eli in closing. It was hard these last few years, and you guys are my superheroes. I don't think anyone knows how much these guys did. Things that other kids don't do. You guys should always feel proud for all that you did taking care of her. She was so immensely proud and grateful of you. Grateful for all that you did and proud of you. I know you couldn't do some things with your mom that other kids could, but she was just as much a mom as any of those other moms, dads out there. Every day she was your mom, and she was being a mom. Someday you may look back on all those things you did for her with pride, but also as incredible gifts of intimacy and family togetherness. That's certainly how I feel. Of course, this situation was unlucky, but we were also lucky to have those incredibly intimate moments together, spent together, helping each other. Mom loved you guys with every ounce of her being, and she'll be with you in spirit, in memory always. You see all those people out there? They're here because they love Mom, too, and Mom loved them. They care about us, too, and they're going to be here for us. We have this incredible, great small community of people, and they will help us remember Mom, always.
Rabbi Jane Rachel Littman. And I had the enormous honor of working with Maria as she became Jewish. I have to say Maria was a terrific Jew. She was super argumentative, super opinionated, and always for the sake, as they say in Judaism, for the sake of heaven, for the sake of truth. And that her purity of vision was really extraordinary. But I think no one religion could really hold Maria. She was really bigger than that. And so I want to say she was also an excellent Buddhist. And for at least a year, we spent a lot of time with Hindu thoughts and chanting. And I think that also really touched her. And of course, her religion of her upbringing was very dear to her in many ways. She had a degree in theology, and her Catholic childhood made a very big impact on her. So as we recite Kaddish, which is the Jewish way of remembering someone's memory. I also invite you, if you have another faith tradition or secular tradition. Maria also really loved baseball. Nobody said that here, but she adored. That was a religious experience. If you have a religious or secular identification that works for you in this moment of memory, I invite you to bring that as, it's a big world. She was a big person. And I invite you to bring that to this moment. I'd like to invite you to rise in spirit or body as you are able. The words of the Kaddish can be found on the back page. We recite together, loving God, we praise your name. Yidgadal, Yidgadah, Shnei Rabas. Yamad, Yibrah, Yurtei, Yamid, Yamate, Chayachon, Yamachon, Chayim, Kol Beit Yisrael, Ba'ala, B'zman Karib, Yemru, Amen. Yehei Shnei Rabam, Borah, Le'olam, Le'olam, Yibrah, V'yishtabah, V'yifar, V'yitramam, V'yitmaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei V'yishav, V'yiku, Le'elam, V'kol Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechmata, Damiran B'yalma, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmama Rabba Min Shemaya, L'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom V'Ramav, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. May the one who creates peace up there in those heavens create some peace down here, peace for the whole world, peace for us in this room, and peace for Maria, who deserves peace. And we all say, Amen. Our closing song is Oseh Shalom. Is someone leading us in the singing? You're leading here to play for us? Thank you very much. I'd like to ask you to hold hands with somebody around you if you can. Yeah, he needs someone here too. Shalom or peace or whatever you like. Give them a little hug. Take the memories of Maria with you every day of your life. Of course, what would this be without memories of Maria without food? So and so much else. There's food in the back, and you're welcome to stay and talk about Maria. And be sure also to fill out this card and send it so kind guys can have your memory.